Hey guys, today I will be covering for my term project uh, social issue of femicide in Mexico. So femicide is the action of just simply killing women because of their gender. Um, Mexico is a country which is the culture is really based off of men being uh, dominant. Uh, the term for that is called machismo. It consists of just a lot of gender inequalities throughout the whole culture. Um, the reason for this is because Mexico is ran by, just men in higher power. It's mainly just patriarchy that's functioned throughout the government. Um, Machismo has set a general norms for the Mexican culture. So really, it's how women are supposed to look up at men and depend on men, and men are supposed to tell women what to do. Uh, so women are supposed to stay home and cook and clean and just be there for men when men want to, and men don't have any kind of duty except for work and provide for the family. Um, so gender inequality has become a large problem for Mexico simply because, like I said, a lot of the chairs with the higher positions are held by men. Genocide has become a social issue because of the patriarchy, of course. Femicide started in the early 90s in the city of Juarez. There was a large spike in the industrialization that happened, and that gave opportunities to women and men. This was really the first time in Mexican culture um, that Mexican people saw women having the same opportunities as men. And this just got attention because it was the first time that women were able to succeed in the country. And this was odd because Mexico is a country where men were the ones that were praised for doing great and stuff. So this brought insecurity to a lot of the men, and they started to just um, the men started to commit violence against women. A lot of hate. There was a lot of not. It didn't just start with murdering them. It started with treating them unfairly, raping them and stuff. Um, and then after that, it became more of murdering them. Um, Women in poor parts of the country are mostly the victims. It's always going to be a girl that's young and pretty and that looks like she's successful in something. Um, Once again, um, a lot of this is not, the nation is really not fixing the problem simply because it's the problem that stems from crime. So it's really tough to have the nation fix the problem simply because cartels are a really big thing in Mexico. So the government is mostly um, together with working with the cartel. So the government has really no control over what happens in the country unless the cartels, uh, have say in it. A lot of the cartel members usually commit femicide, so that is the reason as to why um, it goes unnoticed instead of it being fixed. One of my video actually was a documentary about a girl who got killed, and her boyfriend was a cartel member, and he was actually tried in a federal court. He even admitted to killing the girl, and he even took the people to where her body was for remand, and he's still not guilty just because he higher up in the cartel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really just the government having a control over it, because it's more of they just give them hush money to do what they're going to do. Cartels usually push out a lot of these things because you send out messages to. I know it's really long. They do it to send out messages. A lot of the other level cartel gang members also, they have moms, sisters, daughters. So that's the way that they want to get to their head. Um, or just they'll usually what I've been seeing on the news as well is they'll kill women and then they'll have a message for the body. So um, I chose this as my topic because I am a Mexican American uh, now, and I'm constantly torn between cultures. But I definitely have a lot of conflicts where uh, I see myself staring in between these two cultures, and I think that it is my duty as a Mexican American adult to push aside some of these cultural norms because to communicate in the real world, you have to put aside your pride and um, you have to understand others so you can communicate successfully.
Questions? Do you believe there's any subtle crossover between like that culture and the American culture? Is there like any similarities you notice?
Yeah, there definitely is. Even if it's not as violent, there's definitely still gender inequality throughout. We see it in society as women don't get the same pay, even though it doesn't sound like the same problem. It's still it still is an unequal, you know. In the government as well, we see a lot of women just get backlash for stuff that they say, and on the media as well. But men don't have the same. They don't get the same backlash as they want. Um, so yeah, I think that, like you said, that was a really good question. I think that there is crossover of gender in both cultures. Um, so
It's interesting that there are so many power plays throughout this whole
yeah,
cultural and subcultural kinds of activities. One of my questions is because there's so much um, blending of Mexican culture into the United States, simply because um, some of us really love the Mexican culture traditionally, um, and some of us come from that tradition ourselves, etc. Do you see it infiltrating or getting into the American subculture since there is such a heavy influence of the drug cartels, etc., crossing the border and into the U.S.?
yeah, there's definitely crimes that have happened here as well due to that. Um, more towards the south, but also not even just because of the cartels, but in general to commit these kinds of crimes on women just because I really don't, I can't say if it's securities, but yes, then sometimes people with other see more than them that has the problem. I can tell.
I was talking to a friend of mine who comes from Mexican descent as well, and her impression, also as a communication scholar, is that with the messages that are left
Yeah,
after a rape or severe domestic violence or a murder, etc., that the message, the the words, the meaning, everything really translate into a behavior of almost slavery. That if the women do not conform to the way of life they, have, where they are subservient, they are expected to not be successful in business or anything else other than to raise babies, be at home, cook and clean, and all those things. That it is a form of power to keep women enslaved in this patriarchal society. Now she's a feminist, and she comes from a little bit of a radical feminist communication scholar perspective. But what is your take on that?
My take on this, yeah, they do it as a way of, I guess, just remaining power, I guess. Not power, but I guess just scaring the women. Because I talked to my grandmother, she came in from Mexico, and we had her here for like a month. And I asked her, just at the time I asked her, I was like, what's going on? And she just said that they're just, killing women because they're cheating or they're doing more than what they're supposed to be doing. She said that they just randomly have someone else die that they know. It's very like common over there. It's more common than people think, and more common than the news cover, because there's a lot of news coverage that doesn't do a lot of this, especially here. My parents watch the Mexican news, and it never really was explained to me until I started getting into of it. I got tired. He didn't really know about it, and to be honest with you, he didn't really care. This guy's that sound more just like that. I just think it's when it comes to men in their culture, they're not above everyone else. And it's a problem. And I really just think that's what it is. And they think that, or we think that we can do what we want sometimes, especially in that culture. It's very wrong. I really don't know why murder them. I really know why killing them is the answer to that, or why it's. But
very strong way to prove a point.
yeah, it's too strong. It's too strong to prove a point.
Well, it's coercion. Remember we talked about compliance gaming strategies?
Yeah.
Fear.
If people see that, they're not going to want to.
That's right.
Yeah, they're going to want to comply, or else they're going to. That's the whole message they're sending.
That's right.
So yeah, also, women are trying to be more safe. They stay in. So as wrong as it sounds, it is working for them because they're free to go out.
So they are successful in obtaining the compliance that they want because they have instilled this fear
that you will die if they.
You will die. You could be raped. You could barely be out. What happened?
This year, I saw on the news there was a shutdown. The country, it was basically just, women across the whole nation. They were not participate in anything that day to try and protest the government not doing it.
No, they're bringing it to their attention.
Right. And because it has been a problem for such a long time. It goes unnoticed, and it even just it's happening in front of the government, like video.
And you said it really started to come up in the 90s, early 90s.
It was during the industrialization of these waters.
Yeah.
Women were given the same opportunities as men, and men didn't really like that.
And with the women's movement, that's ties right in. So good, very good, interesting. Can you turn off the camera, please?